All right, what's up, AJT Jungle? Welcome back to the first 90 days of trading. We're in chapter 11, so we're moving right along. We're finishing up identifying weaknesses today. Then we're going to get into risk management and focusing on execution, because these are key. Okay. Nothing matters if you can't execute. Doesn't matter whether you have the best strategy in the world, whether you follow the best traders in the world. None of it matters if you can't execute. And execution is mental. So we are building you up for that. Now, just to kind of review from last week, this is pretty much how you looked when you started. And if you looked at the pieces hard enough, you realize that you didn't have any flat sides. There was a receptacle on each, side of you, because everything revolves around you. You have to be the center. You have to be the nucleus. And by you being the nucleus, you have to be strong. You cannot let anything split you, because if it does, you guys know what the atom bomb is, atomic bomb. That's when we split an atom and all of this energy comes out. So when you get split, all of their energy comes out, and it doesn't come out positively. It can create some problems, and then all of these things get thrown out, and you're left holding the biggest bag of odorous excrement known to man. But this is where you want to be. This is where I want all of you guys to end up, where I'm trying to work with you to get to this point. You being in the center, everything neatly fits together. And the psychology part, the mindset, is what's going to hold this together, what's going to protect your trading atom so that it doesn't get split. And you end up with this big mushroom cloud of nothing. So we don't want that. All right, so we talked about what trading psychology was and how that it is an important factor that can make or break a trade as well as your trading career. It's not just about the individual trades. This is about your entire trading career. So if you don't get this figured out, it's going to be near impossible for you to be consistent in the market, make a consistent profit, to be successful. You'll continue trading like it's a hobby, getting hobby results. And your homework was to take a personal inventory of what discipline qualities you had, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and to discuss them with somebody, whether it's your mentor, trading accountability partner, or whatever. So I hope you did it. If you didn't, a lot of that little bit explains probably why you're not successful yet. All right, so I didn't really tell you how I wanted you to do it, because I did it on purpose. Okay, I wanted you to do an honest self-assessment, not filling out a form, not just trying to answer questions that somebody else laid out. I wanted you to figure it out on your own. And that may be why a lot of you didn't do it, because you couldn't figure out how to do it. And, I understand that. But this whole deal was on purpose. And if you couldn't and you didn't understand how to do it, you really should have reached out. That would have been the smartest thing to do, is to reach out. All right, so I think I have made my point loud and clear on knowing who you are as a trader, what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are that you can build off of, and continue to move forward. All right, so it is not unusual, and I see you guys do it all the time, to try and compare yourself with others around them. Okay, everybody around you, you're trying to compare yourself with. This trader, that trader. You can't do that. You cannot do that. We're all different. Okay? We all function differently based on our personalities, our belief system. All of this is very important, and it determines who we are as a trader. If we can't fix that, if we can't get that squared away, we're not going to be successful. We're not. Okay, our strengths are things that we can leverage on to help sustain us while we're trying to work on our weaknesses. Okay, these are things that can keep us driving forward if we build on our strengths. And we're working on turning our weaknesses either into strengths, or if it's a weakness that we need to overcome, then we're able to just overcome it. That's our number one. Our number one when it comes to trying to deal with our weaknesses. All right, but we need to understand our weaknesses aren't our downfall. They're not our downfall. They're not the reason that we're not successful. Okay, these are just basic areas that we need to improve on. Okay, knowing our weaknesses allows us to understand how we can work around them and whether we can use them to our advantage or not. Most people believe that focusing on things you are weak at decreases your self-confidence, enthusiasm, and overall performance. And that's just not true. Now, it is true if you don't use your strengths. If you don't focus on the strengths and you only focus on your weaknesses, it's gonna kill you. That's why I said it, in the beginning, that our strengths are something that we can leverage on, things that we can use to keep pushing ourselves as we're working on our weaknesses. Okay, and most of what I hear is, I know what I'm supposed to do. I know how to trade. I know how to read this trade. No, I know when I'm supposed to enter. I know when I'm supposed to exit. I just can't do it. Something always happens and it keeps me from being able to do it. I hear that all the time. And I understand that. I get that way too sometimes. If I'm sitting here looking at a stock and I was like, don't chase it. Don't chase it. It's not the right thing to do. Don't chase it. Then I click the button and I'm chasing. It's a mental thing. And it's a weakness that creeps in sometimes that I have to address. And I have to address it through my strengths. What am I strong at? Reading price action. So I'm in the trade, let's read the price action to determine, whether I just need to bail out right now or whether I can give this an opportunity. and that's what I'm doing. But unfortunately, too many traders believe not much is achieved by trying to fix their weaknesses or not trying to tap into the benefits of addressing your weaknesses. Because if you have a subconscious hate for people that have money, you're going to be your own worst enemy when it comes to being successful. Because subconsciously, you're likely to prevent yourself from actually being successful. You actually hurt yourself. Okay, so you don't want to try to get rid of your weaknesses. It doesn't work. It's just like me saying trade without emotions. You have to ignore your emotions. You have to fight. All that does is put you in a bad place. Turn those emotions around and use the positives in them. And that's what we do with our weaknesses. We turn those weaknesses around and find the positives in them. Now, if there's a certain weakness that there's something that you have to get rid of because it creates a bad habit, then that's what we have to do. Those weaknesses we get rid of. But the ones that can benefit us if we use them the right way, those are the ones we develop. Alright, so what's the best way to identify your weaknesses? And that's reflection. A lot of people don't like to reflect. They want to ignore. Now they'll love to reflect on a winning trade. They'll sit there and look at it and admire it for days. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless you can continue to string those together. Okay, that's where your mind has to be. You can't let it, walk away. You have to focus and reflect, especially on those trades that didn't work, so that you can establish the fact that, hey, the trade just didn't work out. I did everything I was supposed to do. This is just one of those that didn't work. Okay, let's pick up and move on. Okay, let's go on about our business. So, reflection is a very powerful tool. Reflection or thinking about your experiences is the key to identifying areas for learning and improvement. Now, everybody at my school, everybody wanted to know how I got my students to achieve, how they got, we went to competitions and they would win. How was I able to get them to do the projects that I got them to do and present them, in the fairs that we had? It's all reflection. I use reflection as a big part of my learning. I made my students, and I made this a big part of their grade. If they just kept a log, just like if they had in science class, when they were in chemistry or wherever, and they had to keep, their logbook. That's what this was. It's basically a logbook that talked about what they learned that day, what issues they had that day with whatever they were working on. And it helped them look at themselves from a different light, and it helped them to know what they needed to focus on to improve and whether they needed help doing it or not, or things that they felt would help them overcome this. And it worked so well. Now, students were wildly successful. You know, some teachers hated me. But I told them everybody could do this. I mean, every year I would do at least once a year, I would do a presentation on how to get your students, you know, how to use reflection with your students to increase, you know, their achievement level. And that's what I do with you guys. That's my focus with you guys right now, and has been from day one. Really understanding how powerful reflection is. Okay, it also allows us to analyze our experiences, make changes based on our mistakes, and build upon or modify past mistakes based on new knowledge. Now, it also, and I didn't add this because we're talking about challenges and weaknesses, but reflection can also allow you to build off your successes. It can also allow you to build off your successes. Okay? I want to get that clear. All right, but reflection is a deeper form of learning that allows us to retain every aspect of any experience. Okay, let me say that again. It's a deeper form of learning that allows us to retain every aspect of any experience. Don't you want to retain the knowledge that you gain from every trade that you take? From every trading experience. If it's good, you want to build on it. If it's bad, you want to determine, you know, what took place, you know, what the impact was, and whether you should do it again. You know, meaning, look, I did everything right. If it sets up again, that's the trigger. I would do it again. Okay, and all this as opposed to just remembering that it happened. It's about tapping into every aspect of the experience, clarifying our thinking, and honing in on what really matters to us. Okay, in trading, we deal with a lot of inconsequential bullshit, whether it be indicators, whether, you know, it be studies or, you know, data, analyst data, all this stuff, all this inconsequential bullshit that, you know, some people may try to learn to make themselves sound smarter or that they understand. That does not pay you a dime. You don't make a dime in the market off of all of that. Okay, so reflecting on your trading, understanding who you are, what you need, is going to help you eliminate all of that garbage that's clouding your judgment that could be affecting your execution. Okay, that's what we've got to focus on. All right, and this came out from this book that I read in one of the presentations I went to when I first started trading. I mean, I was like a sponge. So, taking time for reflection, it is a bit of a lost art. Okay, most new traders come in, your trading is unchecked. You don't even have a process to check yourself versus, you know, even having somebody else to check you or to look over what you do. And that doesn't really work in trading. Okay, but these traders will benefit the most by taking the time to think about, meditate on, and evaluate your trades while giving serious thought to their behaviors, thoughts, attitudes, motivations, and desires during the trade. Okay, so if you got lost last week, you couldn't figure out how you needed to address how you needed to address this. Okay, what you want to think about is evaluating your trades, giving serious thought to your behaviors during the trade, your thoughts, your feelings, your attitude, your motivations, and your desires. All of that throughout the trade. That's what you want to think about. Now look, I know it sounds like a lot of work right now, but once you get situated with it, once you establish the process, it's going to be real simple. I mean, really, really simple. So it's the process of diving deep into your thoughts and emotions and motivations and determining the great question, why? Why do I do this? Why am I reacting this way? Okay, that's gonna help you determine what you need to do, and whether you need to drop it, build on it, all of that. Practicing self-reflection may require you to be intentional and deliberate. And I'm gonna say, I didn't mean to say may require. It requires you to be intentional and deliberate. It requires a level of discipline that you probably have not experienced ever. Okay, very, very important. Now, reflection is often done as writing, but you can do video. You can talk through it. And that way you can go back and replay the video so you can, understand what's going on, what you were thinking. I mean, some people actually record themselves trading, and it helps them hear their thoughts while they're trading, and they're able to go back and replay it and kind of pinpoint, hey, this is where this went wrong, or this is where that went wrong. All right, so it can take the form of a conversation with a mentor. You can reflect talking to your mentor, or you can videotape your reflection sessions. It doesn't matter what you do, just as long as you do it and you do it the right way. All right, but we typically sum this process up in one word. That's your journal. So a lot of traders, they journal all their damn stats. All of their stats, win ratio and all of this, but they do not journal how they felt during the trade. They don't journal the reflections they had during the trade. And by doing that, they're shortchanging themselves. They're going to end up not knowing what to do and where to go and how to get there. So journaling is key, but you have to journal right. And how do you do that? All right, starts with this reflection cycle. This is the Gibbs reflection model. I brought this over from my teaching. It's in a book, again, that I read while I was actually learning how to become a teacher or be a better teacher. I would go to these conferences during the summer, listen to professionals talk, so that I could get some ideas as to how I needed to do these things. So it worked out really good. But this is one of the things that I brought over. And it's particularly useful for helping people learn from situations that they experience regularly, especially when these don't go well. Does that sound familiar? Learning from situations that you experience regularly, and sometimes, or a lot of times for us, things don't go well. So what are we going to do? How are we going to improve that? Are we going to keep sitting there hoping for somebody else comes up and makes things interesting? It's not what we want to see. All right, so this is if you're going back through the video, you can pause this or go back and forth as you're looking through this document. So what I wanted to share with you is my trade reflection. Now again, I talked about this earlier. It's just a repeat slide. Reflection is often done as writing, but you can also talk. All right, writing is really key, because when you put pen to paper, things tend to stick. But I also found out if you talk through it, say you do a video journal, and whenever you're having an issue similar to the one that you worked through and that you may have reflected on and come up with a way to address it, then you've got that data from that other situation, and although it may not be perfectly or identically the same, it may help you. All right, so trade reflection. This is the sheet that I came up with to help me when I started trying to implement my reflection in my journaling. So what I would do is I would fill this out as much as I could. Okay, the ticker that I'm looking at, what my profit targets were, what my hard stop was, what my technical stop was, based on the price, what my position size would be. And I kept this out. And so depending on what happened during the trade, I could quickly jot down notes. And then at the end of the day, when I come back and reflect 100% on it, I could go through this. The little notes I wrote could help remind me or bring me back. And that would go, oh man, I'm watching the futures. I'm watching the market just tank. Perfect timing, right when I start the class. But sorry about that. But you would go through and see here, dadgummit, here I kind of go through each area as to what you should put there. But all of this will help. And then at the end, I have a go, no-go checklist. So if you took a trade and you had a strategy in place, that's a go. You identified your risks ahead of time, that's a go. Profit targets, that's a go. If you have profit targets, I don't recommend it in terms of money, but what I recommend here is did you stick to your profit targets on your trade plan? Okay, that's what I'm referring to here. Your profit targets on your trade plan, not an arbitrary monetary amount. And then trade execution. Did you follow your entry rules? Yes or no? Did you respect your profit targets or your stop, or did I leave it on? So these are the things that you want to look at. That's going to help you develop the right mindset. It's going to help you identify your weaknesses and come up with ways to help you work through your weaknesses. All right. So you have homework again this week. And this is the end of this trader mindset component. Now remember, I have a whole program that's designed to help you develop the trader mindset. We'll be starting it up here before long. As soon as we get an open spot, that we will restart that. Because again, your mindset is what determines whether you're successful or not in trading. Really in life. I don't know how many of you guys watch NASCAR, but there was not last week before last, the last race that people had to get themselves in the playoffs. Well, y'all know Michael Jordan co-owns a race team, a NASCAR race team, and one of his drivers was running for the regular season championship. And not long after the race started, he got sick. He was throwing up and regurgitating all over the place. Yeah, throwing up, and it was coming out both ends. All right, so if you remember Michael Jordan, he played in the NBA Finals one year with the flu. Sick as a dog, but he pushed through. And that's what Tyler did. He got sick, he pushed through, but guess what? He knew his weaknesses, he knew his strengths. He focused on his strengths. Okay, he focused on his strengths to get him through. And sometimes you got to give it a little bit more than you normally would. But he had the right mindset. He developed, as a race car driver, you must develop the right mindset in order to be successful. And that's what he did. He developed the right mindset. And that's what got him through. And he ended up winning the regular season championship. Now, whether he wins the playoffs or not remains to be seen. But he did win the regular season, which is amazing. He won it by 1 point. So if he had quit because he was sick, he wouldn't have made it. Or if he used it as an excuse not to perform, he wouldn't have made it. So, oops. Damn it. Excuse me. I need to do this one more time. One more time. I'll just bring this up so you can see it. But your homework is, if you don't have a defined process, reflection, a journaling process, then I want to see you develop one. One needs to be developed. All right? If you have one, make sure that it covers everything we talked about. If it doesn't, then you're missing out. And notice, there was no mention of stats, no mention of win rate, no mention of a daily profit target or anything like that. I don't believe in them. If you just focus on getting the job done, the job will get done and you'll be in good shape. You will be in good shape. All right. So, any questions? And as usual, if anybody has any questions you don't want to ask in here, you can shoot me an email. I'll be glad to answer them for you. All right, everybody good? It's not on there. Yeah, I'll add it. I thought I had added it last week, but maybe it had trouble uploading. But yes, I'll add the futures.